Now, this may be a different subject, but I want you to give me your undivided attention for the next few moments, and especially mothers who have children in school of any age. And if you have a child in school that has been bullied in any way, I want you to sit them down and help them to see what I'm going to share with you. Let them watch this as well. When I was growing up, I changed schools 4 different times from 4th grade to 12th grade, and that was because of my dad being a minister and moves that we made, etc. I was a loner. I had some friends in the neighborhood, but I was pretty much a loner. I did not enjoy getting to know new people. In that time, which was in the 1970s, I don't know of any homeschooling. I don't even know that homeschooling existed. I think I would have enjoyed doing that and made much better grades had I been able to do that, but we didn't have that back then. Dad pastored from the time I was about 11 years of age through my teen years in some larger cities. We lived in Arlington, Virginia, which is near Washington, D.C. So I remember being bullied horribly starting in 7th grade. And let me show you how bad this got. One day, the art teacher walked out of class, and I had these 2 big front teeth here when I was younger. Still have them, thankfully. They're not false. And one boy grabbed me, and he poured paint on the floor. He said, "Lick it up or I'm going to beat you up after school." And then he tied my shoelaces together, made me hop around like a rabbit while the whole class laughed at me. And so I lived in constant fear and dread of going into that class. Never told the teacher about it because he threatened if I told the teacher that he was going to beat me to a pulp. And these were basically bullies that were in the school in Kenmore Junior High School up in Arlington, Virginia. And I lived in that kind of fear, being pushed in lockers, shoved, up through 9th grade. And I played football in 9th grade, so I got to play football against some of these guys. And I loved that because we did drills where we could tackle them. And I would literally target those, I hate to say this, I target those boys that treated me that way, and I would just nail them during practice. And of course, I grew up a little bit, and I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, but in the mind of a kid, you're trying to defend yourself. Then we moved to Salem, Virginia, and I remember a guy came to my dad's church. He was just a bully. He wasn't a member. He just showed up one day, and then he attacked me in the church parking lot, and one guy from the church stood up with me, and he went to school, and he was just harassing me is what he was doing. 10th grade, and he said, "I'm going to get you in school. You better watch your back." So I carried a little knife to school, a little pocket knife, and thankfully I didn't use it because I could have gotten serious trouble, but I was that afraid that I was trying to defend myself. I didn't know any kids. I didn't know anybody that would protect me. I started carrying my Bible to school. Of course, that led to a whole nother level of persecution, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. And I was harassed by people continually for those 3 years. And except for just a handful of friends that I kind of clung to. I probably had 4 friends in my senior year. That was it. And I'll be honest with you, it caused me to hate going to school. I detested getting up. I detested going to school. Now, the reason I'm sharing this with moms is this, that many times when you have a child that just says, "Mom, I really don't want to go to school," they might not be telling you everything that is happening, because a lot of times bullies will threaten them if they tell that they're going to beat them up or something of that nature. And so I actually hated school to the point, and I really shouldn't confess this. This is not a good thing to confess. And I used to tell the story and tell Pam, put your fingers in my kid's ear so they don't hear what their dad did when he was a kid. But I actually got expelled from school and wanted to because I just didn't want to go to school. I hated it that bad. And it's not that I hated learning. It's not that I hated classes, because there were certain classes I enjoyed. It was just I could not stand the bullying because there was no one there to protect me. There was no one to stand up and say, "Leave Stone alone, leave him alone." And I just had to try my best to defend myself. And it created a lot of rejection. When you have rejection in your life, let me tell you what it will do. Not only does it affect you when you're younger in that age and when you're in those school years, but it can affect you in your college years. It can affect you actually as you get older. And so what I want to share with you, moms and dads, is signs to look for that perhaps your child may be being bullied. Now, this is not an all-conclusive list, but it's signs that I went through, things I went through that I can share with you personally about. Number one is they shut down and go into a depression, meaning that a lot of times they begin to isolate themselves. They isolate themselves from other young people, from other kids. They don't want to go out. They don't want to be around other kids. And so they go into somewhat of a depression. And actually, this can be a result of rejection as well as not just bullying, but also rejection. Then they get to the point where they do not want to go to school at all. It's not about, I have to get up early. I hate getting up early. It's not about, I don't care for my teacher. It's just that I'm not going to go to school. And you find them skipping out on school a lot, or getting in trouble by skipping out on school, or faking like they're sick all the time because they just have a dread of going to school. Then another sign can be that in order to defend themselves, they start hanging around bullying like people, or the wrong kind of people. And the reason they're hanging around the wrong kind of people is not because they like those people. They may not like them at all, but they feel like that those people are strong. They fight, they speak their word, speak their mind, and they might be able to defend them. This is why, for example, a lot of young people in cities join gangs, because when they join the gang, they have, quote unquote, some type of protection from the gang that they don't get otherwise. And you can talk to young people that have been in gangs in the past, and they'll tell you that that was one of the motivating forces, that they didn't have anybody to protect them from other gangs or other bullying people. So there are evident signs. Now, you have to be careful when your young people, your children, your daughter or your son is being bullied, because it can lead to depression and to some serious repercussions for them, because people get to the point where they just don't care about life anymore. And this is what you have to stop as a parent, and you have to discern. So there should be a no tolerance for bullying in every public school or private school for that case. So you need to teach your kids to come to you and talk to you if they have been bullied. Number two is you need to check occasionally their social media, because sometimes bullying begins on social media. And, kids are so into thumbs up, thumbs down on what people think, and they shouldn't be, but they are, that it emotionally can affect them in a very serious way if they are getting a lot of hateful comments and hateful people commenting on social media. Sometimes you just have to cut the people off that are a part of that. You can ban people, you can stop people from coming on your media, etc. So you have to check their social media. Number three, if you have proof of bullying, you must go to the school officials and make it known that you are not absolutely going to put up with your child being bullied at all. Now, when I was bullied, I would tell my mom, and mom would say, well, it's just school. You know how kids are. And dad would say, well, you're just going to have to learn to put up with it and toughen up. They didn't understand the seriousness of the emotional impact that all of this was having on me as a young man. They had no clue. So they blew it off. Listen to me, parents. It's very important. Do not just blow off the idea of your child being bullied. Well, toughen up. Well, you need to defend yourself. Well, yeah. Then they're going to go get in a school fight and get expelled. And then you're going to have to face the principal because you told him to go fight the person that was bullying him. What I'm saying is it creates more problems when it's not dealt with properly. So it has to be dealt with properly. I would also suggest, if you know the parents and you have evidence through text messages, or you have evidence by other kids saying, yes, he or she did that, is to go straight to the parents and say, you need to talk to your child about this. And of course, a lot of times parents get defensive of their own kids and say, your kid started or whatever. You don't want to get in some kind of family feud here, Hatfield's and McCoy's family feud. But you have to also understand, let me talk to the kids for just a moment that may feel like they're being bullied, that you have to understand that with a abuser, there is a root cause of abuse, and many of them have a terrible home life. Many of these kids that are bullies are being bullied themselves by a father or a mother, or they're in a divorced family, and they're very frustrated and angry with their stepmother or stepfather, and they just don't have a good home life. They don't have a good family life. They're fighting with their siblings and getting in fights. And so when they're coming into the school setting, they're carrying all that baggage with them. So a bully has a root problem. Anyone who bullies has some kind of a root problem. Now, I did hear something happen recently where this young man was just being harassed and bullied in school, and a Christian biker group, it was a Christian group, it wasn't the Hells Angels or, Sons of Thunder or whatever, it was a Christian group that showed up and put him on their bike and picked him up at the home and drove him through the town in front of the homes of the kids that were bullying him. And they let them know, we've got this kid's back. You need to leave him alone. There was no threats made. There was no, we're going to beat you up made. And it stopped the bullying totally and completely. Now, I saw that video of that on the internet. I regret I didn't keep up with the name of the group, but it was a Christian biker group that just said, actually their ministry is no bullying to kids in school. school. And they have stopped a lot of bullying by just showing up and saying, look, you don't bother this kid anymore. You hear us? We're here for this kid. We've got his back. And it's no threats. It's just, but you know, when a bunch of guys and women show up on the Harley Davidsons and they got the kid you're bullying on the back, it just makes you think twice before you bully the kid again. And so, I would say this, that many times there is a root problem that the bully has that you might not be able to do anything about or anything with, but for your child, there is something you can do. Take bullying very serious. Take it very serious on dealing with it directly and head on. And I have many public school teachers who are friends of mine, very dear friends that Pam and I have. And I do believe that Bradley County here has some great public schools, Walker Valley, Cleveland, Cleveland High, and the different, I'm leaving one out, Bradley, I think, is the other one, 3 schools, 4 and 5 star schools. Some of them even have prayer in school and some things like that. But kids are still kids. And even though you may have maybe they go to a rough school, I don't know if homeschooling is an option. They have homeschooling now that you do with a video classroom setting. It is a classroom with a video. That's what all of my kids went through, and they did fantastic. They came out very smart. I would put them up against anybody that's been through a public school setting with the type of private school that they went through, homeschooling on videos out of Pensacola, Florida. And my wife knows all about that. She handled that for almost 20 some years with both of our kids. And that may have to be an option for a kid that just is being bullied all the time. And you have to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You have to work out your own family lifestyle the way you feel is best and not worry about what other people feel or think about that or their opinions. But I do want to encourage the kids, if you've been bullied, send me a letter at my address. I want to hear from you, and I want to send you something. I'll send you a book called Mark with Promise, as long as those books last. And this has to be not you, not mom and dad, not you writing. I want to hear from your kid. I want to hear from your son or daughter that's been bullied, because I went through it and I know what it feels like. And I know what you need to do to actually get over it, I think. Or at least the advice I would give, I think, could help. So let me know. And if you've been one of those kids, I want to hear from you. And I want to send you a book because we know what it feels like. But you can make it. You're going to outgrow that bully one day. And one day you're not even going to have to be around them anymore. And you'll get on with your own life. And things will improve. So don't quit. And don't give up and don't get discouraged. And always remember, the Lord's with you. And He's watching everything that's going on as well. He'll take care of things. Thank you so much for your prayers. And I've got to tell you this one story in closing, and maybe it fits and maybe it don't, but I had a guy bullying me one time, big old boy, pushed me up against the locker, and I just turned and I said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I bind you in the name of Jesus. And he just looked at me and started laughing. Well, it was like the next day or 2 days later, he came and he had cast on both of his legs walking with crutches. And I said, man, dude, what happened to you? He said, get away from me, get away from me. You put a hex on me. I said, I didn't put a hex on you. He said, yes, you did. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, I was passing your house. He lived in my neighborhood. And he said, I shot the bird, that's what he told me, towards you. And when I turned the corner, I wrecked my motorcycle and hurt both my knees. And I said, see what you get? You shouldn't have messed with somebody who's a believer. And he never messed with me again. I think he was afraid of that. Well, I'm not telling you that's the best thing to do. On another occasion, a bunch of guys were bullying me. And of course, I was a young kid filled with the Holy Spirit saved. And I just started going, they said, man, what's wrong with you? I said, have you never read the Bible? I said, Samson, the Spirit of God came on him and he killed 1,000 men. I feel it coming on me. You better get out of the way. I mean, they ran. I never heard from those guys again. They attended public school. Okay, I'm not telling you that's the solution. The guy may turn and deck you, but I just have been bullied. So I know what it feels like to be bullied. Okay, so just want you to know I'm for you. I pray for you, and we want to pray with you. And again, if you're one of those kids, send me what's going on. Most of all, tell one of your, maybe you're in a divorce home, but tell your parents, tell someone who's your caregiver, and let them know. And most of all, don't be afraid of telling someone and just say, you know what, this is going to stop. I'm not going to put up with this. Because there should be in public schools and schools in general, there should be a no tolerance bullying, because it affects people emotionally. It can affect them long-term as well. All right. Thank you for joining me. I know this was a little lengthy, but I hope it's been a blessing to you and to your family. And we thank God for you. With kids, we believe in you. God has something special for you in your life. Thank you.
We are living in epic times. We are the Revelation generation, and we must not hide in spiritual darkness, but must clearly understand these prophetic times and seasons. Also informing others that the last days are upon us. Perry Stone and Bill Cloud have joined together for an urgent series of new prophetic updates that are now available to you on CD or DVD. The messages included by Perry are the Hebraic Prophetic Code concealed in the Seventh Kingdom Parables, America, epicenter of the next revolution, the new 70-year prophetic cycle and latest end-time signs, Israel prodigies being fulfilled, final birth pangs of the Messiah, America in crisis, the sign of fires, the axe, and the tree. Also included in your CD or DVD set are 3 messages by Bill Cloud that contain amazing prophetic insight. The messages are the beginning of sorrows, when God hides His face, the fight for America. To receive your set of CDs, request offer number 20PS2-CD. They are available for your gift of $60 or more. To receive the DVDs, request offer number 20PS2-DVD. They are available for a gift of $80 or more. You can order online at perrystone.org or by calling toll-free 1-888-21-BREAD. That's 1-888-212-7323. You may also write to us and send a check or money order to Perry Stone Ministries, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320. In this day and time, as we continue to experience biblical prophecy unfold, these timely messages are something you will want to share with your entire family and friends. We look forward to hearing from you soon.